Welcome back to the Real Bodybuilding Podcast, and we are going to break down the 2025 Olympia one by one. We're going to go through each competitor. I'm going to give you the pros and cons of each guy all the way through the list. In my opinion, I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible. I'm going to talk about everybody's pros and cons and give you guys a breakdown at the end. I might do predictions at the end of the top 15, but the most important thing is that we're going to break down each guy right now. And I'm going to start randomly with just the list that I have. This isn't in any order, okay? We're going to start with Urs. Okay, Urs, off the top, first thing that sticks out to me is chest, legs, amazing chest, amazing legs, and then lastly, amazing structure, and he has great presentation. He's going to hit every pose exactly how it needs to be hit. He's going to be holding that shit as long as he has to. So those are his pros, and it's hard to overcome when you're standing there in a lineup and he walks out. That initial reaction, the initial hit of his shape is what puts him ahead of some other guys. Now, his weaknesses, when he turns to the back is not going to match the front as well. Arms are much bigger, obviously, in classic than they were in bodybuilding with him filled out, but they still don't match the open class. Now, you have to also understand, when we're talking about the pros and cons here, we're talking about them in context of the Mr. Olympia. So I'm talking about Urs in context with guys like Samson, standing next to guys like Samson, standing next to guys like Martin, standing next to guys like Nick or Behrooz. These guys with got giant arms. You know, they're on the stage. They're top 5 or 6 or 7 guys in the world. So I think for Urs to get in there, a little bit more back, a little bit more arms, and I think he's got everything else kind of in spades. So he's on his way, but for now, I still think he needs more overall size, arms, shoulders, to catch up with those awesome legs and chest. Second in the lineup, I have Nick Walker. Nick Walker, mutant himself, the biggest guy on stage. Pound for pound, probably the most muscular guy on stage. The biggest arms and shoulders in the stage on stage, I would argue, for sure. But then lies the problem: is the biggest arms and shoulders bring you to a little bit smaller chest, and then because he's so big up top, there's also a structure issue. As you come to the lower body, there's not as much sweep. When you turn to the back, he's got great hamstrings, calves, great back. Everything from the back is very proportionate. The front tells a little bit different story. Side shots are going to be nutty. That mass and the way you can hide some of your shape flaws on the side is going to be crazy for Nick. And the back shots and side shots are going to be Nick's ticket to the winner's circle if he can get there. So I think ultimately he's got the greatest shoulders, greatest arms, lacking sweep in the leg, lacking overall structure from the front. But man, he's got a great case to be the winner. Like, he looks like he's a lot bigger than Pittsburgh. If he can overwhelm people with size, I believe he can overcome the structural flaws that he has. And I think he has a good chance of winning, or as good as the top 4 at least. I think the top 4 guys, in my opinion, the top 4 are Samson, Derek, Hadi, and Nick. And I think any of them can win. I have my own personal favorite. Obviously, I think Samson's going to win, but any of them can win. And I think the way Nick can do it is to overwhelm them with mass, just sheer mass from the side and back especially. Moving to third, we have Derek. Now, Derek's biggest thing, the back. His back shots are phenomenal, and mostly because of the back and glutes. When he gets in condition, those glutes get really, really crisp, which signals to the crowd, this guy's in shape. Why? Because bodybuilders hold most of their fat on their ass or love handles last. So if a guy's on stage and he's got no fat in his lower back or in his glutes, you immediately think that guy's in shape. Well, Derek's got 0 body fat in that area and happens to have the most detail. So you can see the most striations, most development of the glute. Basically the whole lineup. And it looks phenomenal. When he turns around to the back and he hits a back double and you see all the striations in the glutes and back and all the detail in the back, that shot usually can be his. Nick, in my opinion, because the arms and legs are bigger and more detailed, can beat him in that shot. But it's a very close match between the two of those. Now, Derek's weaknesses are, I'm going to say his biggest flaw that could hurt him the most is overall balance. When he diets down, he does, I don't know if it's the diuretic process or what. If he starts to lose his quads, then he becomes upper body dominant and it takes away from his look. So if he loses a bit of that balance, it's going to take away from him being the winner for sure. Okay. The second thing that Derek has to worry about is detail in the front, right? When you turn to the back and you have that much detail in your back, that much detail in your glutes, but from the front, your arms are kind of smooth, your shoulders are kind of smooth, your chest is kind of smooth, not showing really any detail or striations. It looks a little funny, and it might throw off the look a little bit. And I think that in combination with him not being balanced enough with the legs, if he's not ready, can hurt him. But if his legs are big and he's in the condition he was in at the Arnold, everybody's got to look out. Derek is a serious contender to win. And I think that the balance of the lower body is going to be the ticket for him. If he can diet down and get himself in that same crisp condition he was in at the Arnold, but still have legs, he might walk away with it. Then we have Samson. What is Samson's biggest problem? We've seen from the beginning, this guy is the tallest, not tallest, but out of the top four, the tallest and largest guy on stage structurally, which plays to his benefit. He's got great shape, amazing shape. So he has great presentation. So you have those three things: presentation, shape, and structurally big. It's impossible not to look at you. It's impossible to score him down, except for the problem lies in two things. When you turn Samson to the back, is his back going to be big enough? Okay. And then the second thing is the condition going to be there? Everybody's waiting for Samson to be in crisp condition. Doesn't have to be as hard as Derek, doesn't have to be as separated as Hadi, but they want to see more than they saw in 2024. So the key to Samson winning is going to be striated glutes, thin skin, more condition, right? It's not necessarily going to be the size. He's still got to maintain his size, but he has to have that condition. Trademark has to bring it in. The other problem is this. If he brings in that extra condition and loses a body part in the process, that could be a problem. And what I mean by that is this. For those of you who don't know, when you have a lagging body part or a weak body part, when you get ready for a contest, you start dieting down. When you diet down, the weakest body part you have is the one that's going to start to disappear first. So if Samson's back is being historically a problem, and now he's pushing the condition even further, if he's going to lose tissue anywhere, it's going to be on that back. It's not going to be on his arms. It's not going to be on his chest. It's not going to be on his quads. It's going to be in the back. So if he walks out and people are like, wow, that condition's wild, the next thing they're going to be waiting for is when he turns around, does he still have a back? If Samson can get in better condition than in 2024, like I said, doesn't have to be like Derek or Hadi, just has to be, or Nick, just has to be in better condition, like close to the other guys. If he can be in better condition, if he can maintain his overall size, but mainly in the back, Samson will walk away with the show. Guaranteed. Because every analyst and anybody I know that I respect with an opinion on bodybuilding says that if Samson can get in shape, Samson will walk away with the victory. The asterisk in that statement, though, is he has to maintain his size. So we will see. We'll see on the weekend if he can do that. Next, we have Andrew Jacked. Andrew Jacked, what can you say? He's like the modern day Flex Wheeler, but 6'1". Pros, I'm going to say absolutely incredible shape, great arms, great ab structure, great chest and quads. Cons, I'm going to say, are the back, hamstrings especially, and then overall condition. Lastly, I would say presentation. So one of the keys for Andrew is when he's presenting on stage, he seems a little lackadaisical. He's not really into it. He's kind of posing slow. It doesn't give off a lot of energy. It almost seems uninterested. That takes away from his overall look, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people mention that. The second thing is, and I think that can be overlooked if the other problems weren't problems. If he had the condition that some of these other guys have in the top 4, that would be incredible. That would put him in the top 4 and make him a contender. But that goes to say the same thing I said about Samson. You would have to see him in that same condition as the other top 4, but also at the same size. Because one of the things is that Andrew has been wrestling with is every time he tries to push the condition, he loses some of that fullness and some of the roundness in the muscle bellies that he has. So he has to walk that line where he can, or unless he's put on the extra tissue, he has to walk that line where he can push the condition, get in the same condition as some of these other guys, and then I think he'll start seeing some rewards for it. But as long as he's bringing in this like soft look, he will not be rewarded. He has to go harder. He has to go further and bring in a sharper look for them to put him in that top 4. Next up, we have Martin. Martin has the best muscle bellies in the entire lineup. And what I mean by that is every muscle belly is just so full and round. It's like the insertion point of his bicep, for example, goes from right from the pec all the way down to the elbow, right? Same thing with the tricep, same thing with the legs. They sweep all the way up to the hip. Like he's got a really, really pretty shape to his physique, but also all of his muscle bellies are filled right out. So when you combine the shape and the muscle belly thing, you're like, wow, this is a really special physique. The only, and that's why he ended up 4th last year. The only reason he is having any trouble getting into that top 4 this year, two reasons. One is going to be condition. Martin has yet to find the perfect peak for himself. And when I say that, I don't mean the look. He's had really, really great looks on stage, but they're not consistent. So I don't think he's found that perfect formula that's going to work for him time in, time out without worrying about it. And I think that uncertainty is what leads to, you know, him being a little bit, him not being as confident as he wants to be on stage when he's posing, when they're doing call outs. He starts to fade, maybe starts to sweat, starts to lose a little bit of that polish that he has when he comes out. So the couple things he has to wrestle with there is finding that perfect peak for him, and then also learning to be a little bit more stoic on stage so that he's not too emotional about the placings and he's not having cortisol levels rise through the roof and it hurting his overall look or placing. Those are kind of 2 things about Martin I see the most. I'm not going to break down individual body parts because as far as I think, it's like Martin is perfect in almost all areas of his physique. But I will say I do think he needs more size. I think what I mean by that is tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but this weekend, when Martin comes on stage, even if he's the most conditioned guy, and with his shape and all that, I don't think he can beat the top 4 unless he puts on more muscle. He's going to need more muscle to get into that top 4. Those guys are very heavily muscled, front to back, top to bottom, not missing a body part. Martin's going to have to build that mass to get into that top 4, in my opinion. Next up, we have Akeem. Akeem is a special one. It's weird. Akeem's pros are going to be arms, legs, shape. When he stands there from the front, does a front double, he's got a great X frame. Small waist, really big arms, really big legs, tiny waist again, gives him that X frame shape. And then turn to the side. Again, the side of the leg is crazy. The arms are crazy. The cons come when we turn to the back. When we turn Akeem to the back, he seems to have lost something in that lat department. I don't know if it's a nerve issue. I don't know if it's what it might be, but the lats don't match. The back shot, especially, it doesn't have to be the lats only. The back shots don't match the front or side. So he has to do a lot from the front to really win over the judges, to have them ignore the back, right? Because they're going to score the back at 10-8. And what I mean by that is 10 for, let's say it's 10 for everybody else. He's going to get 8 because he's going to get marked down for that back. He's going to have to build everything up to a 10 so that the 8 doesn't seem so bad. So that the front and side shots, ab shots, the most muscular, all those shots are so good that the back lat spread and back double bicep don't stick in the judges' minds because everything else is so awesome. So that's the thing with Akeem we're going to have to see. The next thing is consistency of that peak. He seems to waver a little bit with the way he looks on stage. Sometimes he comes in great on the Friday night, but even more amazing on the Saturday night. We want to see that amazing look on Saturday night, fresh in the judges' minds on Friday, and that will determine if he can keep going. Next up, we have Brandon. Brandon, a former Mr. Olympia, but back at the back of the pack, or closer to. Last year, Brandon took 9th, I believe. I'm going to give you the pros and cons. Okay, so pros are his back arm. Okay, overall shape is very pretty. As Brandon ages, the legs have started to deteriorate a little bit, and that overall balance doesn't look the same as it used to look. And I think that's going to be the key for Brandon. If he can walk on that stage and have big legs, they will take another look at him and they will bring him up. Are they going to bring him up to 5 or 6? I don't know. 8, 10. I think he's somewhere in there still. I do believe he can compete with the second group. You know, the first call out, let's say the first call out is just the top 4. I think he can compete with the second group if he's dialed in perfectly. If Brandon is the Brandon of old, he can compete with Andrew and Martin, and that would be a good matchup. But back and arms are probably strong points. Lower body is the weak point. He really has to focus on keeping that lower body full to match the upper body. What's going on, guys? I have an awesome deal for you. All of you guys have asked me about how to get your blood work done and how to save some money doing it. And I'm going to help you out. Marek Health is the provider for the best. Samson, Derek, Ian, myself, we all go to Marek. They've been helping me with my recovery from my motorcycle accident. They can help you with hormone optimization or anything else you need to get you back to normal health. Now, there's going to be a link in the description to go to this page. All right, I'm going to show you the page now. This is MarekDiagnostics.com. This is my page, the FOUAD Abiad checkup panel. The $315 one is the uncapped. If you're taking steroids, your limits are going to be past normal, so you want to click uncapped and go down. Now, add that to your cart, right? Click add cart. Now, I already put in the code, RBP99. It's going to save you $126. It's going to knock it down from $315 to $189. And then you just check out. Boom. Okay, when you go to checkout, the code goes right here, right? RBP99. I already put it in. You can see that. It'll knock it down to 189. Then you go and get your deal, save some money, get your hormones checked, get your blood panel done, and get yourself back to good health and on your way to your best self. Guys, MarekDiagnostics.com. Click the link in the description. Get the deal, RBP99 at checkout. All right, next up we have Brett. Brett is bringing the heat with the condition. I feel, Brett's coming from Classic, and it's been a couple of years now, so we're waiting for him to put on the size, and he's put on enough size, I think, like to be up there. He deserves to be up there, but has he put on enough size to compete at the highest level of the Olympia? I don't know yet. Brett is a very, very nice shape. He's got very, very good conditioning. But when it comes to muscularity, he's just not necessarily big enough to compete with the top 5, maybe the top 10. I don't know. I could see Brett maybe sneaking into the top 10. I don't know if he can be. He's definitely not ready for the top 10, top 5 yet. Personally, I have him outside of the top 10, but it would be great to see him get in there and place better than expected. Moving through them. Next up, we have William Bonac. Awesome back, awesome legs. The key to William placing higher is going to be the arm. As William's gotten older, he seems to have lost some arm fullness. And earlier this year in Detroit and some of the earlier shows, you saw William come back as full as a house. Just arms blasted, legs crazy. And I think that's the key to William. And it's because of his compact structure. Because William is shorter and a little more compact, it makes him look like he has a wider waist. But when the quads are sweeping hard, the way he can have them like that, and when the arms are full and peaked to the max, kind of draws your eye away from the fact that he doesn't have this taller, stretched out V taper and he's just a short, compact guy. It actually looks good on him. So it's going to be interesting to see this weekend if age is starting to take its toll and he can get those arms back to the size they need to be, or if he's going to be a little undersized. After Bonac comes Good Vito. So Good Vito, lower body, world class. Best lower body, I think, maybe in the show. Upper body is where the problem happens. And it's because, you're kind of your own worst enemy. His legs are that good that it's going to be a while before the upper body is so big that it's balanced. And that's what you need. He's looking for balance. The problem is he can't have it because the upper body is so dominant. He's going to have to build the chest, shoulders, the arm, the back. All of it has to come up dramatically for him to move from, let's say, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, to move up into the top 5 spots. After Vito, we have Tonio Burton. So Tonio, to me, is the most balanced physique in the show. It's beautiful to look at. Arms, even with the chest, even with the back, all of it, even with the lower body. And he gets in crazy condition as well. So if you take an in-shape Tonio Burton, I don't know if he's outside the top 10 because he's so balanced and looks so pretty on stage when he's posing. It looks so good. Does he beat somebody like a William Bonac if William's arms aren't up to par, or somebody like a Brandon Curry if Brandon's legs aren't up to par? Like, Tonio could do that. And if he does, that puts him in the top 10. Tonio Burton is probably the most, along with Martin, again, one of the most balanced physiques in the show. Every body part matches, lower body, upper body, cross, side to side. This guy is built just like perfect. It's one of the most beautiful physiques in the show. Everybody loves Tonio's physique because of it. Also, conditioning wise, he's going to be phenomenal. Tonio has not a very tough time getting in shape, according to him, and seems to be one of his genetic gifts, but he maximizes it and he looks even better on stage. Now, the knock on Tonio is going to be 2 things. One, his posing last year was a problem. He's corrected it. This year is much better. So let's take that one aside. He's learned how to really pose. The second one is something I don't think he has any control over yet, or maybe he does have control over it, just not there yet, is just overall size. Tonio needs to put on a lot of muscle. Structurally, he's not a big guy. He's short. He's just a little bit smaller than the other guys. I think with enough mass, he can overcome that, but it's going to take quite a bit. So, we'll see if Tonio can do that. I call Tonio the Dexter Jackson of our era, and I just believe it because he wins shows by being so perfectly put together like Dexter, like that. And I think if he puts on enough muscle, he can be the Dexter Jackson of our era. Next up is Jordan Hutchison. Jordan is the newcomer of the bunch. He's going to bring great condition. He's going to bring great quads. He's got a good back. I think arms is going to be an area where he's lagging, and overall shape. Now, you may think overall shape is good on Jordan. It's not a problem. And I would say the same, except when you're standing on the Olympia stage. It's going to be a little different. There are so many guys with great shape. You're talking about Andrew Jack. You're talking about Martin Fitzwater. You're talking about Samson Dauda. You're talking about Tonio Burton. You're talking about all these guys with really beautiful physiques. You have to be in that. And to be in that contest, in that category, is a little bit difficult, but can be achieved. For Jordan, I think with bigger arms, his waist will look a little smaller. To me, he's a little boxy still in the front. front. And then again, this is only in comparison to some of the people I named. It's not just it's not for him in general. It's just in comparison to those people. But still a little bit, the waist needs to come in a little bit more. But I think it's the illusion because the arms are not up to par with the rest of the physique. So it's making the waist look a little bit more than it should be. So he's there. He has it's the balance, the condition is great. I think with enough mass, the sky's the limit, but he has to prioritize those arms and really make them a key point of focus so that it draws away from the waist. Next up, we have Hadi, another potential winner of the show. Hadi is shorter in stature, but has packed on enough mass that he can stand with anybody on stage. But it's not only the mass, he also has a trademark condition. And that condition is not just low body fat, it's incredible detail. So when you look at Hadi from the front, you see lots of striations through the chest, lots of striations through striations through the quad. Great, a great oblique setup where his side shots, when he shows that side of the side of the waist, it's incredible, right? Just stripped out. So I think from the front, he's overcome the short stature by being big enough. I think the problem for Hadi is when you turn him around. In the last couple of Olympias, the back hasn't been the same level of condition as the front. Obviously, he has the potential to do it. A few years back, you would see something you'd never seen before because the condition was so incredible. The problem is, as he's gotten older, I'm wondering to myself, can he still get that condition from the back? Can he still show that level of striations from the back as he did from the front? And I think that's going to be one of the main things people are looking for. Everybody knows Hadi's going to walk out big enough. Everybody knows Hadi's going to walk out and show that front double and that front lat spread, and he's going to be in great condition. What people are waiting for is for him to turn around. Same story as Samson. These guys are going to walk out and they're going to look phenomenal from the front. Everybody's waiting for them to turn around. Are Samson's glutes stripped out? Is Hadi the same condition from the back as he is from the front? That's what we all want to see. If he is, look out. If Hadi is in the same shape from the back as the front, he can walk away with the win. So, it's any man's game up there. I really believe that. I think scales are tipped a little bit heavier to Samson because his overall structure and size is so great that it would overcome the other three if he's able to peak it well. But other than that, they all have a chance to win. And not all of them are going to nail it. It's going to be interesting. If they do all nail it, it's going to be a hard day for the judges. I'll tell you that. All right. After Hadi, we have Rubiel. Biggest legs in the show by far. Strong point, quads, phenomenal. Hamstrings, calves are just fucking wild. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Now, along with these legs, he's got a beautiful upper body. It's not big enough yet, the back especially. When you look from the front, you're like, okay, this is good. Chest is nicely rounded out. Abs are beautiful. Arms are good. Shoulders not bad. When you turn to the back is lagging. And I mean the back itself, like his lats, upper back, mid back, all need more muscle to match that lower body. And I think that's kind of the problem with having such a wild body part like his quads. It makes you have to make everything else catch up to that. And that's not always possible. Some guys do it really well. Like when Branch Warren first turned pro, his quads were so big. You were like, this guy he's always going to be imbalanced. His chest was pretty equal to his quad, so he was lucky. But he was able to bring up everything else to match the legs. And that's why he was one of the best in the world. He was second place at the Olympia. But he was not second place at the Olympia until he matched the upper body with his lower body. And I think that's going to be the key for Rubiel. If he can get that back to grow to match that lower body, look out. Everybody needs to look out. Right? That's number one. Number two is condition. He's got to be able to get in that dry skin thinned out, every muscle's stripped out. That's what we all want to see. But Rubiel is a contender. I just don't know if he's ready yet. All right. Next up, we have Regan. Pros and cons. Regan from the back, best bodybuilder on the planet. No doubt about it. Nobody in this lineup has a better back double bicep than Regan Grimes. The problem is the front. And again, we're going to go back to balance. You guys have heard me say balance, balance, balance over and over and over on this entire podcast. And that's the name of the game. These guys are these guys are in this contest because they have something that's better than everybody else's, right? Every single one of them has something that's better than everyone else. And I think that something is what got them to the dance. The problem is when you get to the dance, there are guys at the dance that have your shit and everything else. And I think that's Regan's problem for now. We'll see this weekend. But the problem he's exhibited in the past is this. The back is his thing. You hit that back double bicep, you hit that back lat spread, beautiful. You're going to the dance, right? Side shots. Maybe you look a little thin. Legs are looking good. Glutes are showing. Maybe the arms don't look as good. Maybe the shoulders aren't as wild. Maybe the chest isn't as thick as it needs to be, round and bubbly like the legs. Okay? You turn to the front. Now maybe you're showing more gaps. The chest needs to be needs to hang, needs to be thicker. Maybe the arms need to be thicker to fill in more of that gap. Maybe the shoulders need to cap off more. Want to see more delt. So these are the things that we're looking for when we're looking for the perfect balance. So if Regan has done that work, then we'll see it on the... Regan could be as high as, who knows, he could be in the top 6 if he's able to do those things that I just mentioned. But from what I've seen in the past and how hard it is to really balance that out, I don't know where he's going to be. He might be in the top 10, maybe outside the top 10, just slightly, but it depends on if he's able to match the front of his physique with the back of his physique, because the back is absolutely lights out. So that's what, like opposite from the other guys we've been waiting for, we're going to see when Regan walks out right from the front. The same thing with Derek. Regan and Derek are kind of the same. You'll see when they walk out, okay, what's what? Did they fill in their gaps? Are they balanced? Are Derek's legs big, or did he lose them trying to get peeled out? Are Regan's legs full enough? Are his arms full enough? Does his chest fill out? Is it all look big enough? Does delts cap off to match that backside, which is crazy hamstrings, really big calves, stripped out glutes, super wide lats, lots of detail. So it's going to be really interesting to see that play out. All right. After Regan, Dorian Haywood. Again, Dorian Haywood has something that got him to the dance. And that was he was in the Masters. He won the Masters Olympia. So he was the best bodybuilder in the world over 40 years old. The best. So congratulations to Dorian Haywood for that accomplishment. That's a huge accomplishment. And that accomplishment got him to the dance. When you're there, though, now you're playing with the young boys, the young men that still haven't lost a step and still have all body parts intact. I believe Dorian Haywood is probably going to have a hard day, but I also think he knows that. He's been around the game for a long time. So he wants to go be there. He just wants to be there. I'm sure he wants to have the experience of being up there and getting into a call out and mixing it up with some of these guys. But, Dorian Haywood got there because he was the best over 40 bodybuilder on earth. But it's just going to be a different story when he's with the under 40s. They're going to maybe give him a little bit tougher challenge, and it's going to be a little bit harder for him, I believe. Sassan. We get to Sassan, and we talk about balance. This is a very balanced physique. Now, you ask, why do I keep saying balance, but then, most people don't have Sassan in the top 5. It's not just about balance. It's about balance and size. So Sassan structurally is not a big guy. He's a little bit shorter, a little bit narrow through the clavicles, doesn't really show as much size like as a William Bonac, for example, somebody of the same height. Or even like somebody same height, you could say Sassan and Derek Lunsford. Derek is very big for a guy that height, whereas Sassan is a little bit more narrow through the clavicles. Even though their arms might measure the same, that shoulder width and structure allows Derek to look a lot bigger and makes his back, like it makes him able to pack on more size. So Sassan has filled in every inch of his frame perfectly. He's got a perfect physique. Structurally, though, he's still held back a bit by that size. And he is only able to pack on so much muscle onto that frame. But the thing is, it's packed on so nicely and so evenly. And he comes in really good condition. His presentation is pretty good. He has a little bit tougher time with the back shots because of, I believe, a shoulder impingement is what I've been told. But he's very, very good on stage. Very presents very well. Very good condition. And it's a beautiful physique. And I think the kind of like the outer circle of bodybuilding that likes looking at bodybuilding but doesn't really like, you know, they're not necessarily a fan of freak. I think they're going to love Sassan. I think Sassan's going to be the talk of the show in that crowd because his physique is so beautiful. So Sassan, I'll give like most beautiful physique award, but because of structural size, I don't know if it's going to be enough to carry him over. And then lastly, we have Behrooz. Behrooz last, not because he's the least best bodybuilder, but because he was last to get his visa and get to the USA, and nobody was sure if he was going to make it, but he did make it, and I think he's going to really make a statement. Now, he's qualified for the last 4 Olympias, so you're not talking about a guy who's just showing up. This is a guy who's been good enough to be with the best for the last 4 years. So he's qualified for 4 Olympias. And he's coming to his first, but he's not a first timer. And that's what I think people have to realize. He was a first timer 4 years ago, right? So now he's ready. And I think he's bringing it. And I think he's going to challenge that top 4. He might challenge. He's definitely going to challenge 5 and 6. Definitely 100%. I can almost guarantee it without a doubt. If he's not in the first call out, he's going to be in the second call out with whoever's in that second call out. I'm going to assume is going to be, it depends how many people they put in a call out, right? If they put 6 in a call out, I think the first call out's going to be Samson, Nick, Derek, Hadi, Martin, Andrew. Okay. That's going to be your first call out. Second call out, Behrooz, Vito, Bonac, Curry. Who am I missing? Urs potentially. That could be a second call out. Regan potentially, right? But don't be shocked if Behrooz jumps into the first call out. And I'm not saying now they might do, oh fuck, this guy's so good, we're doing a 7-man call out. They might do that. They might be like, holy shit, he belongs in there. Or he might bump someone. Maybe somebody's not in shape. Maybe somebody missed their peak. Maybe somebody was in shape 2 weeks out, but they're looking soft on stage, right? So I don't think it's going to be the top 4. It could be, like I talked to Dennis James. Dennis James has him beating Nick Walker. He thinks he's got better shape and he has better condition, and he's just, he belongs up there. Now, that's possible. I believe somebody told me Behrooz is going to be weighing in the 260s. If he's in the 260s, there's no reason to think that at his height, I think he's like 5'9" or 5'10", in the 260s. There's no reason why, with that shape and that kind of balance, if he's brought up the legs, there's no reason why he can't be in the top 4. Right? Now, I don't think that's happened. I don't think he's going to be big enough in the lower body. I think he's going to be wildly impressive. I think he might be the hit of the show. I think people love a kind of come from nowhere kind of story, right? I think he might be the hit of the show, and I think a lot of people might think he should have won just because he's so pretty to look at. But I don't think his legs are going to be up to size. So, and I think that's the con that we're talking about. Pros, outstanding condition, outstanding shape, very big, thick upper body, Cons are lower body doesn't necessarily match the upper body. Lower body doesn't necessarily have the separation and detail that the upper body has. So if he's brought up his legs the way Milo says he has, then look out. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I put no limits on Behrooz. I've said from 5 years ago, I love this guy's physique before I think he had even won a show. So listen, that's a real wild card. Like, if people talk about wild cards, Behrooz is the real wild card, because what if he shows up and wins? Who knows? Who knows? If those legs are big enough, this is the thing. This is the funny thing. So if you look at Derek, Hadi, and Nick, and you say Samson can beat all three of them if he's in shape. Why? You're saying that because Samson's taller, structurally bigger, and he has pretty shape. Now you throw in Behrooz in the mix. If Behrooz has the legs, now he's another guy who's 5'9", 5'10", I believe, maybe taller, 5'11". Taller, regardless of the height, he's taller than the other three guys, Nick, Derek, and Hadi. So now you have another guy in there who's taller, with great shape and great condition. I don't know. And then look, him and Samson are trading great body parts. Samson's got amazing arms. Behrooz got amazing arms. Samson's got a great chest, probably better than Behrooz. Front shots I would give to Samson. Back shots, lower body down, I'm going to give to Samson. Back shots, I probably give back to Behrooz, like the back itself. Overall, I don't think he's big enough yet to stand with Samson, but I'm just saying it's interesting. It's an interesting problem to solve for Derek, Nick, and Hadi, to have another guy that's in the 260s with great shape and great condition. So it's a problem to solve for everybody. And I believe he's the real wild card. Now, I've been rolling for like 40 minutes here. So let me quickly run down and give you guys my prediction. Okay. I'm going to show you guys this. This is the realbodybuildingpodcast.com. If you haven't signed up, you can sign up and do predictions and win prizes and just have fun and see if you are smarter than the hosts that are predicting these shows. Now, here are my predictions. Now, I picked these under duress, so they might not all be right. Probably gonna have to switch around some people, but this is what I got so far. Samson first. If I'm gonna tell you why for each one. Samson, I have because I believe he's gonna bring better condition than last year, and in saying that, he is going to be structurally the biggest guy on stage and carrying probably the most muscle along with that structure in almost every body part. He's going to have bigger legs than most guys on stage, except for maybe Rubiel. His arms are big. They probably don't peak like Nick Walker's, but they're still massive. Chest, maybe the biggest chest on stage. Hamstrings, calves are good. He's going to give up a bit in the back, but I think he knows that. But I think structurally and overall, pound for pound, this is the guy that's the biggest on stage with the nicest shape. And if he can bring the condition, I don't think anybody can beat him. Hadi, I think with Hani and Hadi having a chip on their shoulder, that's really dangerous. These two guys are the most competitive people in the sport. And I think with Hadi not having anything to worry about let me rephrase that. I think with Hani having nothing to worry about except for getting Hadi ready for the stage, that's another dangerous thing. Hani is an amazing coach when he has nothing to worry about. And Hadi is a fierce competitor that I think is going to bring the best he can bring. And I still don't think age has got him yet. So I got him in second. Derek, I think, is going to bring those legs with him, but because the other two are going to be on point, I don't think it's going to be enough for him to beat them. It's going to put him in third, but I still think he's going to be ahead of Nick. Even though Nick is going to be bigger in the shoulders and arms, which Derek is lacking, I think the overall polish and presentation will put Derek ahead of Nick and leave Nick in fourth place. Nick is probably going to be too much for Martin size-wise, leaving Nick in fourth, Martin in fifth. Now, I have this call out here. This section here is going to get me the most. I have fifth Martin, sixth Behrooz, seventh Andrew, eighth Brandon, ninth William, 10th and 11th Akeem and Urs. Okay, all of this, especially 5, 6, 7. Okay, 5, 6, 7. These three: Martin, Behrooz, Andrew. This can go anyway. I'm putting Martin there because he's my boy and I want to see him win. I want to see him get ahead. I think Martin is more balanced than Behrooz. If you want the logical reason why I put him there, not just because he's my boy and I want to see him win. I think he's more balanced top to bottom. And if he's in the condition that he's supposed to be, I think he can be better than Behrooz. But that's going to be a close, very close matchup. Behrooz, even though might be a little bit undersized in the legs, I think the condition is going to put him past Andrew. But Andrew won't slip beneath Brandon Curry and William Bonac just because of overall shape, prettiness, and size. Then you have Brandon, William, them two battling out. They could go back and forth. Either one could switch. Same thing with Akeem. 8, 9, 10. These guys can easily flip. Urs. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't even put Vito in here. I have to redo this. So I'm going to take Brandon out of here and I'm going to put Vito in 8th. I'm going to put Brandon in 9th. I'm going to put Bonac in 10th. These two are going to battle it out. These 4 are going to battle it out. 11 is going to be Akeem. 12 is going to be Urs. Wow, this is really tough. This is probably the deepest lineup ever. 13, Tonio. 14, Regan. 15, Jordan. 15, Rubiel. All right. Now, why did I put Rubiel in 15th if he's so good? I think the back and the conditioning. Regan needs to fill the front out, even though he's at the back. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I just think these 3 guys are missing something that the others aren't still, and that's why they're there. Tonio, probably more muscle overall, more size overall. Regan, more mass from the front to match the back. Rubiel, a bigger back to match the front and to match the legs. And then you have this call out here, which I think 9, 10, 11, 12 can go anyway. So it's kind of 3 groups in my opinion. Right? We have these 4, Samson, Hadi, Derek, Nick can flip. These 4, Martin, Behrooz, Andrew, Vito, they can flip. And then Brandon, William, Akeem, Urs, that could flip. And then the last 3. That's kind of how I see the show. That's kind of the way I see it kind of broken up as far as talent goes. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting. It's look, this is the toughest lineup in Olympia history. I'm not saying it's the greatest lineup ever of competitors because there are probably some other lineups that have maybe better or same level. But when you go from 1 to 15, it's got to be the most competitive. It's got to be the most competitive because a lot of those people can switch, and it's not even they can switch in those top 4. Like Martin might jump into the top. Martin might jump in the top 4, or Behrooz might jump in the top 4, or Andrew Jack, if he's shredded enough, can jump in the top 4. Like anything can happen. It's really going to depend on how these guys look. Predictions are predictions. Predictions are based on past placing. That's not always an indicator of how someone's going to show up at the show. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it there. You guys have my predictions. If you're signed up to the Real Bodybuilding Podcast already, your picks are under review, and we're going to see how good you are at the end of the year. It's going to be an awesome prize pack for the winner. And if you're not signed up to the Real Bodybuilding Podcast, you can sign up now and get into the predictions with everybody else. All right. With that, I'm going to leave you guys. Thank you for watching and catch you all on the next podcast.